On behalf of Florida Power and Light Company and Gulf Power, we're grateful you're here to help our customers weather this latest storm.
There's lots of work to be done, and I know you want to get started, but we need to provide you with this important safety orientation.
Safety is a value, so as you labor to restore service to our customers, remember their safety and your safety is what matters most to us.
Therefore, we require that you listen as we review our general characteristics and additional safety information.
In addition to the safety measures we're asking you to take while you're here, it's also imperative that you follow your company's safe work practices and policies. For example, if you wear sleeves, then wear your sleeves. If you wear overshoes, wear your overshoes.
And of course, let those two familiar lineman principles guide your work. Namely, work it hot or ground it out. Remember, everything needs to be treated as energized until tested to be de-energized and grounded. This book is going to be your guide, and your leadership will be provided a copy. I'm not going to read every page, however, we will look over the highlights of it. If you have any questions, please save them until the end of the presentation.
Should you have an accident, the first act is to assist the injured. Then, for a life-threatening emergency, contact 911, then your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Or for a non-life-threatening emergency, contact your FPL Gulf Power representative, and they can help guide you on communicating the event to the FPL Gulf Safety Team. The staging sites will have first aid stations with nurses. If it's a non-serious injury, like a cut, a bruise, or something like that, you need to get that person to the first aid station. They'll take care of you. There's a form in the back of this booklet that will need to be filled out and given to your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Enough about accidents, because I believe that we are not going to have any if we work the way that we are supposed to.
Linemen call these different things tailgate, tailboard, JSP, or hazard assessment. No matter what you call it, it's one of the most important things we do. Whether you fill out a written form or not, it doesn't matter to us how you do it. Just do it. Do it before every job, when there's a job scope change, or if a new crew member comes aboard. You need to identify certain things on the tailboard, such as, are there any hazards associated with the job? What work procedures? How are we going to work this job? Are there any special precautions? What are the voltages? Where is the energy source? What PPE is required?
Also, addresses in different cities are very similar. You should ask your FPL or Gulf Power representative what city you are in so you know if I'm in Inglewood, Florida, as opposed to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You can have multiple addresses within the same county. The state of Florida has adopted DOT standards for the maintenance of traffic, and more than likely you will not have everything applicable to the standard with you. Maintenance of traffic, or better known as MOT. MOT is required when working within road right-of-ways. Make sure you evaluate each location to determine the type of traffic control you will need to establish. If you have any questions, please contact your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Basically, you need to create a safe work zone. You need to let the motoring public know you're there.
Post-storm driving, there could be missing road signs or temporary signs installed due to the storm, so drive safely and use GPS if it's available. Florida has adopted a no texting while driving law as of the 1st of July 2019, and you can be pulled over not using a hands-free device while driving a CMV. Let's talk a little bit about safety at the processing and staging sites. Remember, these processing and staging sites are very congested, probably 1,000 or 1,500 people in there. There's a speed limit of 10 miles per hour at the staging site. Here's a few requirements at the staging site. Mandatory traffic vests while on the site. Hard sole, closed toe, heel shoe. Proper work attire. If you don't have a traffic vest, contact your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Remember, there may be people working in and around the vehicles. The pedestrians in the processing and staging sites have the right-of-way. Employees will ride within the cab of their vehicle. I'm going to ask you to obey all traffic control commands that are given to you by the employees at the site.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the voltages at FPL and Gulf Power. FPL and Gulf Power's distribution systems are a Y system, which is a multi-grounded neutral. If you are not familiar with that type of system, please contact your FPL or Gulf Power representative and they can give you a little more information. Our primary voltages at FPL and Gulf Power range from 4 kV to 25 kV, which is a 13.2 to ground. That's primarily what you will see. This would require a minimum of a Class 2 rubber glove. From an ARC study performed, FPL and Gulf Power has determined that working around energized facilities requires at least a Category 2 ARC-rated shirt as part of your PPE. You'll see every type of framing from cross-arm to triangular to vertical to modified vertical. We're also going to talk to you about secondary voltages. We've got a wide range of secondary voltages I'm sure you're familiar with. We have 120-240, 120-208, 240-480, and 277-480. If you're not certain of the voltage in the area you're working, contact your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Per the 2017 NESC 410 tables, voltages at 251 to 600 volts require 20 cal PPE when working in self-contained meter enclosures. If you don't have the required PPE, please contact your FPL and Gulf Power representative for further guidance.
Let's talk a little bit about fusing. Again, I'm not going to read this page from the book, but it gives you a fusing chart for overhead and underground transformers. The chart is rated for voltage and kVA size, and you can tell what size fuse you need to put back in the transformer. We want to put the correct size fuse back in there. There are some fusing charts in the booklet provided. If you have any doubt, ask your FPL or Gulf Power representative. Our switching procedures follow OSHA's regulations for lockout tagout. So I want to give you some particulars about it. While working in Florida, there's two areas you may be working in, FPL or Gulf Power. While working for FPL, all numbered switches, whether it's a feeder or lateral, as well as any jumpers or mechanicals which alter the status of the feeder, will be operated under the direction of an FPL representative. If you are requesting clearance to work on that section of line, a red hold tag must be placed on the device. Make sure you fill out the tag with all the pertinent information so we can contact you if needed.
Now let's talk about non-numbered switches. All non-numbered switches and equipment downstream from them are under the control of the person in charge of the work. If you're going to open a non-numbered switch and work downstream from it, an orange permit tag shall be installed and the switch will be rendered inoperable if possible. Make sure you fill out the tag with all pertinent information so we can contact you if needed. Remember, the yellow tag is an information-only tag. No jumpers will be installed by any method that would directly result in picking up load. All load will be picked up by utilizing a switch or device rated to pick up the load. Remember, we're in storm restoration now and we don't need anybody out there opening and closing something without permission. Make sure you ride the line out and inspect it to all ends to ensure no one else is working on it before closing anything back in. You will be able to pick up the red hold and orange permit tags from your FPL representative.
Now, while working for Gulf Power, all feeder switching as well as any jumpers or mechanicals which alter the status of the feeder will be operated under the direction of a Gulf Power representative. If you're requesting clearance to work on that section of line, a red hold tag must be placed on the device. Make sure you fill out the tag with all pertinent information so we can contact you if needed. When working on all lateral switches, whether numbered or non-numbered, and anything downstream from it, a red hold tag shall be installed and the switch will be rendered inoperable if possible. Make sure you fill out the tag with all pertinent information so we can contact you if needed. No jumpers will be installed by any method that would directly result in picking up load. All load will be picked up by utilizing a switch or device ready to pick up the load. Remember, we're in storm restoration now, and we don't need anybody out there opening and closing something without permission. Make sure you ride the line out and inspect it all ends to ensure no one else is working on it before closing anything back in. You'll be able to pick up the red hold tag from your Gulf Power representative. If the lines and equipment are not being worked as hot and energized, then all lines or conductors will be tested, de-energized, and grounded. If it doesn't have a ground on it, it's not dead.
While working in FPL territory, all grounds must be a minimum of 1 aught and meet OSHA ANSI standards. While working for Gulf Power territory, all grounds must be a minimum of 2 aught and meet the OSHA ANSI standards. In order to comply with OSHA standard, you either will have an equipotential ground set up on that pole or wear your rubber gloves at all times. If you are inside a substation, get with an FPL or Gulf Power representative to find out the correct cable size needed to safely ground your vehicle. If you come across wire on the ground that you need to put up, You must ground both sides of the downed wire before handling it with a gloved hand and keep the conductor off your body. Just like primary, if you don't ground secondaries, they have to be worked as energized. If you're going to work it hot, you need to put your gloves on and utilize the appropriate cover. Again, if you're going to work it as de-energized, test it and ground it. You must write out the line. It's going to take some time. Some of the laterals are long. It doesn't matter how long it takes, write it out. There might be somebody else working on the other end.
So if you change the boundaries of a feeder or lateral, do it at the direction of an FPL or Gulf Power representative, so we all know about it. If you don't have grounds, just ask us and we'll find some for you. Just to finalize this, restoring those non-numbered laterals that are under your control, ride them out. Make sure that all men and equipment are in the clear. While working in the FPL and Gulf Power territories, you must hang a red flag on the ground if you're going to leave the location. Follow the appropriate tagging for the territory you are working in. The red flag is for identification purposes only, and it's just a visual. This means when somebody rides by, they know something is going on there. All the porcelain arresters on this property should be considered to have asbestos in them, and we treat them accordingly. We'll give you plastic bags that are marked appropriately. We want you to put them in the bags. If they're not broken in the air, take the bag up with you. Put it in the bag, bring it down, tie wrap it, put it in the material box, bring it into the staging site. If it is broken, you'll need to double bag it. Use your gloves. Whatever rules call for to handle this hazard.
Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about taking care of you. I want to talk to you about this hot, humid environment you're going to be working in. If you've never worked in Florida, I'm going to tell you, the bear will bite you and put you on the ground. So there are certain things I want you to keep in mind. Sunblock, put it on 15 to 20 minutes before you go out in the sun. You need to protect your skin. This may not be the normal environment you're working in. Use it. Drink plenty of water. During hot weather, the body loses up to 3 gallons of fluid a day. Drink cool water before, during, and after work. During heat stress conditions, drink at least 4 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes during work, even when you're not thirsty. I'm telling you, if you're thirsty, it's almost too late already. Stay hydrated. The key word is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Just keep it coming because I guarantee you, it will take it back out of you. Avoid alcohol. It's a hard thing to tell a lineman, but you need to worry about this because it dehydrates you and it's an added burden on your body in hot environments. I know you've got some off hours and you may want to have a beer or two, but just a reminder, doing so could adversely affect your health the next day. Here's another phrase that everybody hates. Eat lightly. Eat lightly, of course. You've been working hard all day. You want to eat big. But you know what? Pay attention to what you're eating. It's going to hurt you in the long run. Rest often. Rest in the shade or a well-ventilated room. Please talk it over in your tailboards. Discuss it. When are you going to rest? You need to rest. With our folks here at FPL and Gulf Power, we tell them to take a rest when they need it. And it's important with this heat. Wear the right clothes. Remember, wear loose clothing. It will help you. It's hot out there. Remember your sunblock, please. Use it at all times. And you know what? If you're in the environment that you don't need the hard hat, wear a baseball cap or a cowboy hat. Wear some kind of hat. Keep that sun off your face.
After a storm, many poisonous and non-poisonous snakes and insects look for dry ground. Listen, I'm not going to tell you which one is poisonous and which one isn't. Consider all snakes poisonous. Remember, if you get bit, you need to get proper attention right away. They are all looking for dry ground, especially water moccasins. They have a tendency to chase you down the road. Their environment has been disturbed, and they're looking for different places where they can go right now. Remember, you may be right in the way of where they need to be. We've got some pages in this book here that show you pictures and things to remember about cottonmouth, moccasins, and rattlesnakes, copperheads, and the little pygmy rattlers. Yeah, little pygmy rattlers. They're 12 to 20 inches long. You need to be aware of them. They're very poisonous. But I'm not going to go over all these pictures. I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights.
Don't forget, we're not just talking about snakes. We're also talking about insects and plants. We've got some plants that will send you to the doctor. We've got the poison ivy, poison oak, things like that. They're in this book we're giving you. Be aware of them. Be familiar with them. You need to read this and keep it with you. Maybe that will help you identify what you're looking for at the job. Red ants. Red ants are in this book as well. I don't want to forget to tell you about the red ants. Red ants just don't like dry ground. They like water. They float. Just because you're in the water doesn't mean you're not going to get bit by a red ant. And believe me, it's pretty nasty. They'll be on top of the water. If you're wading through water, walking from pole to pole, don't think there's not an ant bed in there, because they're sitting right on top of the water waiting on you. The thing that is not in the book is mosquitoes. We've got a lot of water, mosquitoes are going to grow. Protect yourself. If you've used insect repellent with DEET, remember not to spray it on your ARC-rated clothing.
One insect that I really want to talk to you about, there's a little spider called the brown recluse. I don't know if anyone's ever been bitten by one, but I'm going to tell you it's a pretty nasty bite. The skin will deteriorate. It will eat the flesh off your skin. A lot of times they will require plastic surgery to get your arm looking the way it used to look before. So please watch out for them. Remember the picture in this booklet. Before you get caught up into spiders, look at that booklet. I suggest you look into your boots and your socks and in your work gloves before you put them on, because they love to hide in dark places. Okay, I want to tell you about our alligators and crocodiles. Crocodiles are found mostly in saltwater areas. They're very aggressive, and crocodiles have no fear. They will come and charge. Alligators are normally in the brackish freshwater. You need to watch out for them too. Remember, their environment has been disturbed. They're looking for some place to go. Hopefully, not something to eat. I want you to remember one thing. An alligator can outrun a thoroughbred horse for the first 40 yards before he falls on his belly. So be cautious when they are nearby.
The last thing in your package is the injury stuff we talked about a little earlier. Should we have an accident, we need these forms properly filled out, given to your supervisor or person in charge. Get it to the FPL Gulf Power representative as soon as possible should someone get injured. We want to make sure that we take care of that employee properly and get them some help right away. Here are some additional areas that we'd like to cover with you. Number 1, the use of proper grounds and working with proper grounds. Number 2, the use of rubber gloves when required. Number 3, proper use of cover on energized lines and equipment. Number 4, proper use of fall protection when required. Number 5, follow all switching, tagging, and clearance processes. Number 6, follow the proper guidelines regarding excavation and shoring. Number 7, follow all safe driving practices, seat belts, hands-free devices, etc. If you follow these 7 saves, and always remember that old saying, work it hot, test it to be de-energized, and ground it out, you'll return home safely the same way that you arrived. On behalf of FPL and Gulf Power, we want to thank you for being here at our time of need. But remember, our number 1 goal is for you to return home safe and sound.